First exercise we're going to do is a half kneeling, high to low rope chop. We want the outside knee down, feet in a line, hip push forward. You're going to grab onto the handles with both hands, bring it down to the chest, down by your hip. Up nice and slow. What we're looking for on here is that we don't want the shoulders turning side to side. We don't want people crunching forward. We want to stay up nice and tall from the knee, hip, shoulder should be in a nice straight line. This exercise right here is our split stance, high to low rope chop. You've got the outside leg back. Your knee is about 6 inches off the ground. You want to stay up nice and tall. You're going to grab onto the handles, bring it down to the chest, down by the hip. What we're looking for is that the individual's not crunching down and not turning side to side. Next exercise is our half kneeling, low to high rope lift. On this exercise, we want the inside knee down, hips pushed forward. You're going to grab onto both handles, bring it to the chest and across the body. What we're looking for is that we don't want someone arching back or really turning side to side. We want the shoulders to be squared straight ahead the entire time and go nice and slow right to the body and up. Next exercise we're going to do is a split stance, low to high rope lift. What we want is the inside leg down. We want the knee up about 6 inches off the floor. You're up nice and tall, bringing it to the chest, over. What we don't want is someone to bend over or to be coming and leaning back at the top. Next exercise we're going to do is a half kneeling cable lift. On this exercise, we want the inside leg down. We want to be positioned behind the cable about 12 inches. So you're going to push the hips forward. You're bringing the cable up at about a 45-degree angle away from the body. You're not leaning back. You're not turning down at the bottom. So facing forward the entire time, bring it up at a 45-degree angle. Next exercise we're going to do is a split stance cable lift. On this exercise, we want the inside leg back. The knee is bent about 6 inches off the floor. You're going to face straight ahead. You want to bring the cable up at a 45-degree angle. Nice and slow. We don't want to lean forward. We want to keep everything facing straight ahead. Next exercise we're going to do is a half kneeling cable chop. On this exercise, we want the outside leg down, hips pushed forward. If the cable's out to our side, we want to be positioned back behind it about a foot. You're going to grab on with both handles, bring it down, out away from the body, nice and slow. What you don't want to do, you don't want to bring the elbows in close. You want to keep it out away from the body. Return back nice and slow, not turning the shoulders side to side, trying to keep the hips forward the entire time. Next exercise we're going to do is a split stance cable chop. On this exercise, you want your outside leg back. Your knee is going to be about 6 inches off the floor. You're going to grab on with both handles, bring it down, nice and slow and controlled, out away from the body. You don't want to bring it in close. You want to keep it out, bring it up. Next exercise we're going to do is the half kneeling anti-rotation press. We want the outside leg back, hips pushed forward. You're going to grab on with both handles right about belly button high. Keep the hips forward. You're going to press out, hold it 2 seconds, return right back in. Out, 2-second hold, right back in. What you don't want to do is let the shoulders turn, rotate. You don't want to lean away from it or lean into the cable. Next thing we're going to do is a split stance anti-rotation. On this exercise, you'll want to move the cable up from the half kneeling position so that it's still about belly button high when your knee is about 6 inches off the floor. You're going to hold it right here, press out, hold for 2 seconds, right back in. Out, hold for 2, right back in. When you should be set up far enough back so that when you press out all the way, the cable is straight out to the side, so there's about a 90-degree angle there. Next exercise we're going to do is an anti-rotation press. You want to position yourself so that your feet are about shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent, the cable's belly button high. So you're going to press out, hold for about 2 seconds, return back into the starting position, out, hold for 2, right back in. You want to set yourself up so that when you press out, the cable's at about a 90-degree angle. So with the arms fully extended, the cable should be pulling straight in. A lot of people have a tendency to turn one way or the other. We don't want that to happen. One other thing to look for is that we don't want the shoulders to be elevated. A lot of people start shrugging their shoulders when they press up. We're going to try to keep the shoulders down and relaxed right here. Next exercise we're going to do is a cable lift. On this exercise, the cable's set up all the way at the bottom. You want to be behind the cable about a foot, feet about shoulder width apart, one hand on top of the other. It doesn't really matter how you position your hands. You're going to squat down so that the cable's handle is just above your knee. Squat down, bring it up at a 45-degree angle. When you do, you want to make sure you pivot on this back foot, and you're remaining upright the entire time. At the bottom, you're not hunching over, so you want to remain up nice and tall. Squat down, bring it up. This is called the cable chop right here. You want to have both hands on the cable, set all the way up at the top, feet about shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent. You want to make sure you're positioning yourself behind the cable about a foot. You're going to grab on with both hands, bring it down at about a 45-degree angle. When you bring it down, one thing you want to watch for is to make sure you're pivoting on this back foot in order to get your hips around rather than keeping your hips forward and bending over. So we don't want to see that because that's going to put pressure on the low back. So keep the handles out away from the body, knees bent, nice and slow. This exercise is called a cable twist. You're going to start with the knees slightly bent, feet about shoulder width apart. You're going to bring the cable out away from the body, and you're basically just going to move the handle side to side, going shoulder to shoulder. All right, so you're not going out any further than right here. You're just moving that handle shoulder to shoulder. Knees should be bent. You should be up nice and tall. You don't want to shrug your shoulders, and you also don't want to lean forward. One other thing to look for is to make sure that you're not rotating your back at all. Everything should stay focused straight ahead, and you're just going shoulder to shoulder with your arms almost locked out. So you can have the elbows unlocked just a little bit. This next exercise is a half kneeling cable twist. You want your outside leg down, hips pushed forward right here. You're going to grab on with both handles, turning straight across the body. You're basically going shoulder to shoulder with the handle. What you don't want to do though is you don't want to rotate with your upper body. Everything should be focused straight ahead, holding it right here and going shoulder to shoulder. It's called the split stance cable twist. You want your outside leg down, knee up off the floor about 6 inches. You're going to bring this straight across the body right here, making sure you don't turn side to side. Also, you want to make sure that when your arms are extended out, the cable is at about a 90-degree angle. So straight in front of you and going straight out to the side. You would not want to position yourself so far forward that the cable is pulling behind or in front of you. It's called our anti-rotation ISO walkout. You want to be positioned behind the cable about a foot, feet shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent. You'll make sure the shoulders stay down and relaxed. We don't want to shrug up from the shoulders. You're going to bring this to the belly button, press straight out. So here's the starting position. You're going to step 1, 2, 3 times out. 1, 2, 3 times in. And you're going to repeat that for the desired number of repetitions. What you don't want to do is when you step out, let the cable come back. You want to hold it straight out in front the entire time. All right, do not let the cable turn your shoulders side to side. Next exercise we're going to do is a cable step plus twist. So you want to position yourself back behind the cables about a foot, feet together. All right, you're out away from the cable, so you're not going to hit the side right here. You're going to step out, arms are almost straight, and twist. When you do, you want to make sure you pivot on this back foot in order to get the hips around right here. All right, make sure you step, pivot on the back foot, getting the hips around, back in nice and slow. The tricky part on this is that when you're returning to the starting position, oftentimes the cable will have a tendency to want to pull you in. You've got to really use your core to stabilize you as you're stepping in to go nice and slow. Next exercise is a cable step plus chop. What we're going to do, cable set all the way up at the top, feet are together. You're going to step, pivot on your back foot, chop down at about a 45-degree angle, step in nice and slow. Step. So you want to make sure you pivot on your back foot in order to get your hips around to keep you from rotating at your low back, and then coming in nice and slow and controlled.